The 2012 season is one season that every F1 fan that's watched the sport for many years will remember as the greatest F1 season of all time. If not the greatest, then probably one of the greatest, because the season 2012 had everything. And just for about 20 minutes of your time, let's relive 2012 with myself. And well, 2012 was the year of so many things, the penultimate season of the V8 era, but a year that promised so much for the sport in terms of a three-way battle between the reigning world champions, Red Bull Racing, and Scuderia Ferrari, and let's not forget McLaren Mercedes, a team with probably the most beautiful livery in the entire season and maybe the V8 era. And of course, there were going to be other winners in the 2012 season, which just made the season a whole lot better, and which we'll go through as the video progresses. And well, testing in Jerez proved to be a mix of different drivers being the fastest, and well, this showed that we had the hallmarks of a great season, just like what I could say 2010. But 2012 was promising to be better than the rest of the seasons that had passed. And oh boy, going to Australia, we were promised of a fantastic season ahead of us. As Formula One hit the track in Melbourne, Australia, Lewis Hamilton, your 2008 world champion and McLaren's last world champion, took pole for the Grand Prix, with Jenson Button following behind. And as the lights went out for the first race of 2012, Lewis Hamilton got a great start, but the McLarens proved to be the faster car during that weekend, with Jenson Button taking the victory and claiming the first victory of the 2012 season. And what would be a memorable victory for him after he won there in 2010. It was looking good. When the circus headed to Malaysia, it was a wet race as it always is in Malaysia, and a very crazy one. This proved to be one of the best races of the season. But the main talking point of the Malaysian Grand Prix was this man, Sergio Perez, chasing down Fernando Alonso, one of the title contenders of 2012. And Sergio Perez was on course to get his first ever Formula One Grand Prix victory in just his second season. But however, Malaysia is one of those tracks where mistakes are inevitable. And unfortunately for Perez, he went off the track towards the final few corners. But look no further, Fernando Alonso did hold off the pressure that Perez was putting on him. But Sergio Perez at least got his podium, and this proved to be his first podium in Formula One, as Fernando Alonso claimed his first victory of the 2012 season. Two different winners in the first two different races. And Fernando Alonso winning for Ferrari, as it always is, it's a special win when you win for Ferrari. The flags are out, the Ferrari flags are out, the Italian flags are out, and everything. Sergio Perez claimed his first podium in Formula One, and Lewis Hamilton finished P3. To be was a great day there in Malaysia, in Sepang, Kuala Lumpur, and I'm sure a lot of us, about 11 years later, still miss this track, because Malaysia is one of those tracks that was so special to the Formula One paddock that, well, the FIA had to axe it about 5 years later. But a very great day. And when the circus headed to China, Mercedes was another team excelling, as Nico Rosberg, for the first time in his career, and for Mercedes the first time since 1955, claimed a Grand Prix win. And this was special for Mercedes, and for Ross Brawn as well, who had not won a Grand Prix with the team since his Brawn GP days in 2009. But when we headed to Bahrain, a lot of controversy surrounding the Grand Prix, and of course typical Bahrain things. The Grand Prix was just under threat because of protests happening and so much controversy throughout the weekend. But even though 2011 was cancelled, 2012 wouldn't be the same. And another talking point of the Grand Prix weekend was what the hell was happening to Red Bull and reigning world champion Sebastian Vettel, who had been off the pace and had not been able to keep up with other cars around, such as the McLarens and the Ferraris. Red Bull, however, had not even claimed a podium in the first 3 races of 2012. Sebastian Vettel didn't have the best of luck, as he had poor starts in China and a puncture because of the cucumber in Malaysia. And this was becoming a bit frustrating for Red Bull, who needed to defend their Constructors and Drivers' Championships. But the bad luck wouldn't continue for a long time, as holding off Kimi Raikkonen in a bloody Lotus somehow, it felt like 1960s all over again. But for Red Bull, they held off the charge Kimi Raikkonen put, and even though there were very close moments between Vettel and Raikkonen, who would eventually become teammates in 2015, Vettel excelled and claimed the Bahrain Grand Prix victory, becoming the 4th different winner in the 4th race of the 2012 World Championship. But the craziness wouldn't stop there, as the circus headed to the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit, or the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, where Pastor Maldonado claimed pole, even though he didn't, because Lewis Hamilton was originally on pole, until his McLaren decided to run out of juice. And well, you know what happens when you run out of fuel in qualifying. You start at the back. You get disqualified, even if it's the race or qualifying. Hamilton starts at the back. Maldonado starts on pole for the first time in his career, but behind a charging Fernando Alonso, who really wants to win on home soil. And Williams having the opportunity to win a race for the first time in many years. Pastor Maldonado gets a great start. Fernando Alonso, though, battling him to turn 1. And Fernando Alonso takes the lead. But this wouldn't mean the race ended there, as Maldonado held off Alonso even after the pit stop phases. And Maldonado, surviving the pressure of the Ferrari and the boy on home soil, Pastor Maldonado, since 2004, claimed Williams' first victory, and his first in Formula 1. A very beautiful day for the Williams outfit, so many emotions, not just for Pastor himself, the whole team, and well, if there were any, and the Williams fans. And not just Williams fans and Williams and Maldonado himself, even the owner at the time, Frank Williams. May his soul rest in peace. And the drama wouldn't end there in 2012. As in the Principality and Streets of Monaco, Michael Schumacher claimed a memorable pole position for Mercedes. But until he wasn't, because he had a grid penalty after colliding with Bruno Senna during the Spanish Grand Prix, which meant Mark Webber was going to be on pole and take the win for Red Bull once again around the streets of Monaco. A very iconic win for Mark Webber, and what do you know? In 7 races, 7 different winners. And well, as I say that, Lewis Hamilton was the only world champion, or should I say title contender, remaining to get a victory in 2012. And out of all tracks to get the win, a track where he won in 2007, his first victory, and 2010, when the Formula 1 World Championship returned to Canada, Lewis Hamilton passed the cars ahead of him. That included Fernando Alonso and many others. And Lewis Hamilton drove like a world champion to his first Grand Prix win of the 2012 season. And as I said earlier, 7 races and 7 different winners. What a season 2012 was proving to be, and from there you would know the season was in for a lot of drama. When the circus was in Valencia, Sebastian Vettel had another chance to claim a win, but unfortunately his Red Bull failed on him, and Vettel was pissed. And unfortunately he had to retire, and this left Fernando Alonso leading the Valencian Grand Prix. And well, Lewis Hamilton and Pastor Maldonado, who were the scene of many incidents in 2011, had another one of those days in 2012 here in Valencia. And as the two were battling on the penultimate lap, Pastor Maldonado was coming for Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis pushed him wide, and Maldonado didn't want to give up, and well, what do you know? Lewis Hamilton was in the barriers. Pastor Maldonado punted Lewis Hamilton off the track. While he was off the track, he crashed him out. He lost his front wing, and well, as you expected, Lewis Hamilton lost his cool. But honestly, I don't blame him, because I would do the same, especially if you're taken out by Maldonado of all the people. While Fernando Alonso was in the sunshine, taking what would be Valencia's last win. Fernando Alonso won on home soil, but this would be the end of the road for Valencia in Formula One, as the circuit would just remain abandoned, as we've all seen. As we went to the British Grand Prix, for the Wings of Life Foundation, Red Bull ran a special livery for this race. And the winner of this race would be Mark Webber, claiming his second victory of the season, and in memorable style. And when we went to Germany, Fernando Alonso held off the pressure of Seb Vettel and claimed a win in Seb's backyard. Well, I could say sort of. And Lewis Hamilton won the Hungarian Grand Prix right before the summer break. And well, this was a great first half of the season. And as we went to Belgium, not any more drama would be expected, but it is what it is in Formula One. Drama always has to happen, and at the Belgian Grand Prix, right after the summer break, Romain Grosjean decided to do what he does best at the time, crashing into cars. He crashed with Sergio Perez, Kamui Kobayashi, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, all in one, and two of Vettel's main rivals out of the race. And well, okay as well, but Vettel, who was at the back, climbing his way to the top of the grid. And Sebastian Vettel, well, drove his heart out in Belgium after his two rivals had exited the race. But one of his rivals was not done yet, as Jenson Button claimed his second win of the season, and well, Vettel claimed a podium. In Japan, well, more drama would arise, with Alonso spinning out of the race and Grosjean crashing into Mark Webber. But a lot of people started to question the ability of Romain Grosjean, whether he was just, well, a bulldozer or a Formula One driver. But one driver that was proven to be a Formula One driver was Seb Vettel, who won again in Japan, this time with Kamui Kobayashi claiming his first podium in Formula One, and what a place to do it in front of his own crowd. Sebastian Vettel started in the pit lane in Abu Dhabi, as his main rival Fernando Alonso was on the grid, of course, with many others. But this wouldn't be a race of just boringness, as it was always be in Abu Dhabi. Vettel broke his front wing early on in the race, and many other problems would arise in the race, not just for him, but for Nico Rosberg, who had a very heavy crash, and the safety car had to come out, of course. And well, Vettel got dummied by his future teammate Daniel Ricciardo and hit a polystyrene board and had to change his front wing for reals now. And Lewis Hamilton continuing his woes for McLaren, and this time one driver would be left in the Grand Prix lead. No, it wasn't Sebastian Vettel. No, it wasn't Mark Webber, because he got taken out by the usual man, Romain Grosjean, who was not only taking out Webber, but Sergio Perez as well. The safety car had to be deployed, with Kimi Raikkonen leading a bloody Grand Prix in a bloody Lotus. And, well, it looked like he deserved this win more than anyone else. And, well, as Vettel and Button fought, Kimi Raikkonen, for the first time since the 2009 Belgian Grand Prix, claimed victory. As we went to Texas, Austin for the first time at the Circuit of the Americas, who was going to claim the victory at this brand new circuit? It would be Lewis Hamilton. He wasn't in the title fight anymore, but just wanted to win these races so that he could enjoy himself. But it wasn't to be for Lewis in 2012, maybe some other time. as we went to the Brazilian Grand Prix, the finale of the 2012 season, a season full of drama, a season full of action, and so many things. McLaren looked out the front row as Sebastian Vettel, and his teammate Mark Webber went side by side towards turn 1, with Vettel nearly losing the rear. But he did lose the rear after contact with Bruno Senna, who crashed into him again, this time involving Sergio Perez, with the two of them retiring from the race. But not Sebastian Vettel, as he continued and he bounced back, while his other rival, Fernando Alonso, overtook Felipe Massa, his teammate, and Vettel's teammate, Mark Webber, to put himself way clear and in title-winning contention. Vettel had to drive near the pit wall to get some information on the damage that he had sustained after that first lap incident. But the drama in Brazil wouldn't stop there. As it always is in Brazil, there has to be rain once in a while, and the rain started to fall down, and Sebastian Vettel saw daylight. But one driver that didn't see daylight, or maybe two, was Nico Hülkenberg, who lost a chance for a podium, and Lewis Hamilton, who crashed out in his final McLaren Grand Prix and leaving his teammate Jenson Button in winning contention. But the only person that wouldn't be in winning contention was Fernando Alonso, as Sebastian Vettel was now well into the points. But Red Bull decided to mess up his strategy, and Vettel had to do the hard work all over again. But it wouldn't take long. He passed Kamui Kobayashi at the exit of turn number 4, and a gift given to him by his idol, Michael Schumacher, participating in his final Formula 1 Grand Prix, let him through, and this would be the last straw. Fernando Alonso wouldn't have any chance from here. The only thing he could do was win the Grand Prix, which was beyond impossible then. And the drama for Brazil and the 2012 season wouldn't end there, as the race was almost at the sunset, and the 2012 season was at sunset. But Paul di Resta, your main man, always decides to spice things up. He crashed at the end of the race, and surely giving the title to Sebastian Vettel, and surely giving the win to McLaren's Jenson Button, who won his last race and McLaren's last Grand Prix until Daniel Ricciardo won at the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. But the main headline would be Sebastian Vettel claiming his third World Championship, and his third in a row. What a season 2012 was, and what a season to be alive and watch. Sebastian Vettel was an unstoppable force in 2012, and even though Red Bull struggled at the start of the season, 2012 was proving to be one of their best years in the sport. Their level of dominance wouldn't end there, as they won again in 2013 and returned to the top step via Max Verstappen in 2021 and 2022. But 2012 has to be one of those years that you just have to look back on and say, wow, I'm so glad to be alive in such a year. 2012 was my first full year as a Formula 1 fan, and what a season it was for me as a Formula 1 fan, because the next time we'd see such a dramatic season was 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and as well as the season. Subscribe if you're new, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.